So, trying something different today. I'm gonna see if this microphone works. I have to bring it really close to me so it's in the shot to get a good recording. No, it's not the prettiest, but that's just the way it is. I just want to start off this episode by saying that I am not a professional, that I have simply dealt with depression in the past. I used to be depressed for several years to the point where I just didn't want to get out of bed, just lay there and stare at the ceiling. Whenever I went through these times of really intense depression, I wouldn't necessarily call it sadness, because sometimes you just feel nothing. But sometimes it does feel like really awful, just really sad all the time. I guess a reason that maybe I went through that so that I could help other people, because I knew that I had to climb my way out of that. I didn't want to live my whole life this depressed person. Just the thought of that was so devastating. Like, maybe I'm gonna be like this forever. And luckily, I'm not like that anymore. And it took a lot of hard work, and mental, I don't want to say strength, but
what's the word for, like, when you see a cookie and you know you're not supposed to have the cookie, but then, and you say no to the cookie even though you really want the cookie?
discipline. It took a ton of mental discipline to be able to get out of that, because we've trained our brain to think a certain way. And I really wish that I had known that when I was younger and had realized what was happening and tried to stop it earlier, before it became such a habit and a state of being. Because I went through all of this, I tried a lot of different things, but what helped me the most was to actually just research it and figure out what is happening in the brain. And researching has actually turned into quite the passion of mine. I still read about the brain, even though I don't really need to anymore. But this is the newest book that I just bought, The Owner's Manual for the Brain, and I'm getting distracted here. So the big question is, like, why do we even get depressed? It doesn't make any sense. But it does, actually. We get overwhelmed as humans. We're such a complex organism with so many things going on that sometimes our emotions can really take over, or maybe it's a trauma. And what happens is that we try to dissociate from it. Or maybe it's just living a life that you don't want to live. Maybe everything is on the surface really good, but your soul knows that this is not what you need to be doing. And so you kind of start slipping into this depressed state because you dissociate from your life. You don't want to be living that life. So you stop trying to feel it. And what happens is the part of your brain that is in charge of emotion shuts down. In this other book that I was reading, you can really see a depressed brain because different parts of it are very low level activities. So it makes sense that you just want to lay in bed and then you feel really low energy and kind of robotic, because in a way you're sleeping. The frontal lobe is having a really hard time organizing information, and your temporal lobe is having a hard time doing its job of emotional management. So you are essentially a zombie, and you're going to stay a zombie until you wake yourself up. And I know it seems really impossible when even just getting out of bed feels impossible. But you can do this. You really can. And the first step is to kind of decide, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to live my life like this. I can do this. Like, literally, say it. Just say to yourself, and I know it feels really cheesy, but just do it, okay? Just do it. Just be like, I can do this, okay? You might not feel it right now, but you totally can. Because right now, our mission is to wake up your brain. So, a really simple thing that you can do, actually, is just to chew some gum. If it feels like you can do nothing, like you are just like dead, chew some gum. That's what they say to do if you're driving a long distance and you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel, you chew some gum. So it's the same thing, basically, of just trying to keep you awake. If you are living in a very dark place, I would recommend getting a blue light. A lot of people get seasonal depression, and it's because you're not getting enough blue light. Luckily, I live in New Mexico where it is very bright all year long. So sometimes if I'm having a hard time, maybe I'll just sit and look out the window, and that is something that makes me feel better. The blue light activates something in your brain the same as the sun does, because we're diurnal creatures. We come out during the day. So there's a response in us to wake up when it's bright outside. So my next tip is to watch your posture. Your body is telling your brain how to feel a lot of the time. And if you don't believe me, just try it. This was one of the first things that really helped me whenever I was deep in my depression and felt very anxious. It works great with confidence too. If you sit like you're confident, then you're going to feel more confident. If you sit like you're sad and the world is ending, you're going to feel like the world is ending. So just sit up, straight back, breathe. And your body is going to start to tell your brain how you need to be feeling. Something else that really helped me that I actually don't have written down here, but I just remembered right now, thinking back on my beginning steps of trying to get out of my own depression many years ago, was using colors. I used to dress entirely in black and purple. Oh God, I don't even want to think about that. Yes, I really liked dark colors, or maybe like a dark maroon color, all the time. But what I started to do was wear very bright colors like yellow and orange and just more happy colors. I think there is a lot of psychology behind color. So, yes, that helped me get out of my dark moods as well. So, another really important thing that I still struggle with to this day, because I am a cereal addict. That just sounds so ridiculous. No, eat real food. If you're not eating food or good food, you're not even giving yourself a real chance. A lot of what you feel is based on what you're eating. So if you're just eating like sugary snacks all the day, you're done for. Sorry. Get yourself some real food. Get real food that's alive. Get fruits, vegetables. Stay away from sugar and carbs. Another really important thing to do is to go on a walk or dance around or get your body moving in some sort of way. It's like this. Have you ever tried to wake up at 5 a.m.? 5 in the morning, butt crack at dawn, before the sun is up, and you wake up and then you're like, no. And you're gonna feel like shit until you actually start moving. You're not gonna feel awake. So get out there, go do it. Just go on a walk, and then you also might get your blue light, and that'll be pretty good. So something that might come up through this process of essentially waking up again, is that a lot of emotions might come to the surface that have been hiding or repressed for quite some time. You have to treat the underlying things that are happening in your life, and once you figure out this kind of like formula for your life, or like what do I need more of, or what are some traumas that I need to address that I have been just shoving to the back of my mind. Once you do that in maybe small pieces at a time, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself, you'll start to feel better. So just don't be surprised if these things kind of come up. And I know you might feel kind of like scared, like I don't want to deal with that, but if you need help, go to a counselor. I really recommend art is really awesome for kind of getting in touch with those feelings and then letting them go, letting them exist somewhere outside of you on the page. It is super important that you give yourself something to do other than ruminate. You can't just sit there and think all these bad thoughts. That's part of the problem, probably. Something that I talk about in one of my other videos is switching the brain to another state. So if you want to check that out, watch the stress answer, and yeah, just go watch it. Music is really awesome for kind of switching how you're feeling. Excuse me. Journaling is awesome. If you are having a really hard time, start journaling about it. Something about actually writing it down on paper and having it very clear and crystallized for you to look back on. Be like, okay, this is what was happening on this day, and I ate this, and blah, blah, blah. Whenever you find yourself kind of like falling in this negative loophole of thoughts, try to break it. Try to get into that alternate kind of state of mind. And keep practicing. It's something that you have to really work at, something that you have to do every single day, and kind of learn how to do. It's a new skill that you have to learn how to do. Ooh, did you hear that? Oh my goodness. And congratulations, you made it to the end of the video, so that's cool. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.